Mr. Chairman.
Okay, call the meeting to order. In accordance with 940 CMR 29.10, remote participation adopted by the Lowell Technical School Committee, April 17, 2014. Committeeman O'Hare, Committeeman LeMay, Student Representative Karen Vinyl will be participating at tonight's meeting remotely. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mr. Sheehan?
Here.
Mr. Bahu?
Here.
Mr. O'Hare?
You're O'Hare.
O'Hare is here.
Mr. Tatsias?
Here.
Mr. Gigi?
Here.
Mr. Getchia?
Here.
Mr. LeMay?
Mr. LeMay. Yeah.
Mr. Moran?
Yeah. Public appearance. We're going to suspend the public appearance portion and going right into the meeting. School committee communications. Report of the superintendent. Now I'd like to turn it over to Student Representative Karen Vinyl to give the student report. Karen?
Thank you. In organizations and clubs, GLTHS competition season is underway. In-house competitions will take place from January 11th to January 22nd, 2021. The top 4 students in each competition will represent Greater Lowell at the upcoming district competition in March. In addition, our Community Outreach Video Challenge contest has ended and will be judged by our GLTHS alumni and friends members to select the top 3 prize winners. The National Honor Society and National Technical Honor Society elected new officers in December. They are President Lexi Cotto, Vice President Jaslyn Day, and Secretary Ben McGrady. Returning members planned a theme for the month of January, which has helped the school community. Members were tasked with offering to help a teacher or administrator during remote learning. For example, members can help teachers to take an old activity or worksheet used in the classroom and turn it into a digital assignment or instructional video that can be used with the students remotely. In addition, the National Technical Honor Society facility Faculty Council is in full swing reviewing the new member applications that were just submitted before the holidays. They have 35 applicants and are hoping to have acceptance letters distributed on January 22, 2021. A virtual induction ceremony is being planned for the end of February, early March. The Math Club has been working on a new badge, the 3-in-a-row pin, and 2 members have already achieved this honor. They have also been dividing the world of virtual escape rooms that covers everything from deep math, general knowledge questions. To date, the club has successfully completed 2 difficult escape rooms. Our peer mentoring program has had a successful first whole group meeting. They got to know each other a bit more via an icebreaker, play the game, and watch a motivating video about the power of gratitude and saying thank you. They were also given a team building assignment to complete before the next meeting. They received feedback from several participants that described the meeting as genuinely fun and engaging. The Anime Club surveyed members to select an anime movie a month to watch the group. The meeting discussion focused on the trials and tribulations of certain characters and how they had to overcome obstacles in order to learn a lesson. The Senior Class Planning Committee has also been meeting weekly to discuss how the senior class can host virtual activities in order to celebrate their senior year. They are currently researching theaters that live stream a movie for a class activity, snowtubing at Neshoba, and a virtual trivia night. In addition, they'll be placing their graduation order next week for caps, gowns, and honor cords. Guided, our student-led Bible Club has been taking the opportunity to embrace the new year by talking about forgiveness and patience while utilizing scripture. Members share their experiences with each other and discuss their goals and why these specific goals were important to them. GSA watched and discussed the movie Love, Simon and touched upon the areas of the film that were executed best and the areas of the film that were not so good. They also spent time together designing a banner to use for the Google Classroom in order to embody all of the different identities represented in the club. In addition, they hosted a representative from the Center of Hope and Healing to learn about their services, as well as other programs that our students can get involved in. The Yearbook Committee has been meeting weekly to discuss the book's content and design strategy. Over December vacation, 6 committee members participated in a 3-hour remote training session to learn how to use the design software for Playbill. The yearbook cover will be complete and submitted no later than February 1st. In addition, O'Connor Studios will be at Greater Lowell on January 28th, 29th, and 30th for last chance yearbook photos. Any student who hasn't submitted a photo yet. The drama club has been meeting regularly with their members and having fun performing improv and playing drama games. The students are collaborating on a play that is a take on a popular online game. They expect to launch a remote performance of the play in early spring. And in athletics, boys basketball has been strong out of the gate, winning the first 3 games in convincing fashion. The Griffins will play Northeast on January 22nd before heading into a big matchup with rival Lowell Catholic on January 26th. Girls basketball opened up their season with a big win over Innovation Academy on January 8th before having to hit the pause button for a few weeks. The Lady Griffins are scheduled to return to action on January 22nd with a big league matchup against Northeast. Swim and dive has been strong off the blocks this winter with a high number of student athletes returning to the water. The team dropped their first meet of the season against perennial powerhouse Mystic Valley on January 13th. The team will next be in action on January 27th versus league rival Shawsheen. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Karen. Nice job. Very good. I need to approve the minutes of the December 17th meeting.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Sheehan?
Yes.
Mr. Bahu?
Yes.
Mr. O'Hare?
Yes.
Mr. Tatsias?
Yes.
Mr. Gigi?
Yes.
Mr. Getchia?
Yes.
Mr. Lemay?
Yes.
Mr. Moran?
Yes. Report of the treasurer.
Motion to waive the meeting, Mr.
Second.
Chairman.
Thank you.
Mr. Sheehan?
Yes.
Mr. Bahu?
Yes.
Mr. O'Hare?
Yes.
Mr. Tatsias?
Yes.
Mr. Gigi?
Yes.
Mr. Getchia?
Yes.
Mr. Lemay?
Yes.
Mr. Moran?
Yes. I'd like to approve the expenditures for $3,512,727.81. Gracias.
Second.
Sheehan.
Mr. Sheehan?
Yes.
Mr. Bahu?
Yes.
Mr. O'Hare? Mr. Tatsias? Mr. Gigi?
Yes.
Mr. Getchia?
Yes.
Mr. Lemay?
Yes.
Mr. Moran?
Yes. Reported general counsel, I guess that's not gonna happen. I will now turn, let's see, report of the superintendent director.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first item on my agenda, I'd like to inform the committee that Greater Lowell Technical High School, in partnership with the Middlesex Community College and the Northeast Advanced Manufacturing Consortium, will receive $22,760 in grant funding from the Department of Labor. This funding will be to provide 130 hours of training in hands-on electronics technology to 8 adults in our community and is scheduled to begin in March. So we're happy to be able to partner with Middlesex Community College to support some of our adults in our community with gaining skills in the electronics field. The next item on my agenda is the cooperative education report. Currently, we have 96 senior students participating in our cooperative education program as of December 31st. This represents 18% of the class of 2021. A copy of this report has been included in your package, and I was able to have a conversation with Ms. Bezanson today, and there are 5 seniors pending going out, And we also have 3 juniors pending who have secured their own placement. And juniors will be able to go out sometime in mid-February, after February 8th, but these 3 juniors have secured their own placement. And Mrs. Bezanson is working with them to make sure that the placement is approved. And she will continue to do the great job that she's been doing in getting our seniors and juniors out on co-op. So thank you again to Ms. Bezanson. And the last item on my agenda is to provide to you an update on the reopening task force and where we are with bringing our students back to some form of hybrid learning. So I'd like to ask Mr. Barton, our Assistant Superintendent Principal, to join me in providing this update to the committee. So at our last meeting, we were asked to try to reopen or bring our students back to in-person learning with some sort of an increased time in their technical areas. So the reopening task force has been working on this task to do so. So I'm here to report tonight that we have a tentative plan to return to learning for our teachers on February 8th. And then on February 22nd, return to hybrid learning for our students. And what this would look like would be for grade 9 students, it would be to continue in the same form that they were prior to our close in October, which is 1 day per week at 25%, which would be different. And what we're continuing to work on right now is using Wednesdays to bring in grade 9 students only, to give them the hands-on exploratory experience that they missed out on when we were virtual. So we're looking to use our Wednesdays to do that for our grade 9 students. Returning to hybrid learning for our grades 10 through 12 students would look initially at a 50% capacity, which would be Monday and Tuesday, and then Thursday and Friday. And we look at doing that for 2 weeks, anywhere between 2 and 4 weeks, depending on what the public health data looks like, and then moving to a 100% capacity on their shop week, which would mean that vocational students in grades 10 through 12 would come to school Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday on their shop week, and their academics would be remote, with the exception of for grade 10 students who have a math class on their shop week. They would also receive that math class, and also on shop week is PE and health. So that would also be in person. Otherwise, all other academic classes will continue to be full remote in order for us to accommodate getting 100% of the students into the building on shop week. And that would occur for now until some of the restrictions were lifted, so that we would be able to bring in more students. And that is the update from the reopening task force. Just a little bit more, I would like to add to that. I think Greater Lowell Technical High School has done a great job with mitigation strategies, and those mitigation strategies would need to continue. By that I mean the 6-foot social distancing, washing hands, wearing masks. Again, we have the MERV 13 air filters, the proper ventilation, bringing in outside air, 15 to 20%. The way the air cycles through our school is all up to code to what the CDC is recommending. More recently, we have purchased air purifiers for all the classrooms and shops and offices. And we are also part of the Bionex Now Antigen testing program, which would be for symptomatic, if students or staff would become symptomatic at school, we will have the capability of testing them and then being able to do contact tracing immediately. And even more recently than that, we have taken the survey to be part of pool testing. There's still many more questions about pool testing. We have taken a survey, participated in the first webinar just a little bit about pool testing and what that is. And that would involve taking samples of anywhere between 10 to 25 staff and students and staff, and testing that sample. If the results would come back of a positive within that sample, then everyone within that sample would need a follow-up testing, and we would be able to use our Bionex Now as a follow-up test to that sampling. And then if someone came back with a positive Bionex Now test, that would indicate that we would have to do some quarantining. So with this pool testing, DESE would be providing for the first 6 weeks the software, the testing kits, and those supplies needed to start this program. However, it would be up to the district to take up the cost afterwards and the manpower to be able to do something like this. So after we attended the webinar last week, we did submit some questions about the cost of the testing kits. So we know that those testing kits are $5. We don't know, we also are asking if we would be able to get more Bionex Now tests as backup, because we were only allotted a certain number of kits of Bionex Now. So we're looking into finding out how much more it would cost to purchase additional testing kits if we were to need that. We're also looking at would we need an additional nurse on staff to be able to conduct this testing. So those are some questions, but again, we submitted the survey. We're going to attend another webinar, if I'm not mistaken, tomorrow to learn more about the pool testing. And this is just another mitigation strategy that would be able to get us quick information if someone were to be positive, do the contact tracing to avoid a spread within the school building.
Would the COVID grant money cover the cost?
We can
of-
use COVID grant
we can
money,
use the
yes, to
COVID-
cover the
For
cost.
the cost of the test and everything after that, after DESE. You said the first 6 weeks they'll pick up,
Yes,
so that we can use the COVID grant money for?
yes, we can.
Okay.
Do you know how many test kits they actually authorized initially?
Yep, so 320 Bionex Now testing kits. We haven't got any word on the testing kits for the pool testing.
So how many kits would be, they'd only have to use the Bionex if somebody came back positive?
So in other words, it's a pool, so you would pool the 10 to 25 individuals.
And they're
If that
random.
pool came back with a positive in the pool, then everybody within that pool would need to get the Bionex Now test.
And the pool is being drawn randomly from the student body?
Correct.
And
And we would sort of kind of have to plan out how we would do the pooling, how that would work.
is that like a lottery? How, has anybody given any thought of how we pull the pool?
So no, well, we talked about maybe by shop, maybe by cluster,
Okay.
different ways, but we didn't really get into the specifics of that. We would also need permission from the staff and the parents for a staff member or a student to participate in the pooling, as well as the Bionex testing.
Are you doing the reopening plan?
I can add to it, but I think she covered.
All right, because so we're asking the teachers to come back. I'm just get the calendar up.
Oh, yeah,
February 1st,
February 8th,
February 8th, and then vacation's the 15th?
correct?
Mhm.
Okay, vacation's definitely was solidly on vacation, correct?
Yes?
Yep.
Okay. And then we're gonna, so I'm just looking back down, I just wanna make sure I get this after, I figured you said 2 weeks after February vacation.
22nd, right?
No, we're looking at
No,
22nd of March
it's the
1st.
week
to roll
after,
out 15th.
it's the week after February
22nd.
vacation.
So we're looking at the 22nd?
The 22nd to start school.
Beautiful.
And what is the February 8th date?
Get a copy of that,
Excuse me?
that report that you just read? Could the school board get a
What I was reading about the pool testing?
Well, no, that and, about the kids returning in the shop and all that stuff.
Sure, I can send you in an email an
Okay,
update like I do as an overview
Yeah.
That'd be a great idea,
of the,
of the overall reopening plan.
so we have a reopening plan that we would need to update with these new details, but there's not much that's changed except for dates. Is that what you're looking for?
Sure, dates, and then the 4 shop weeks, every other week, correct?
I'm sorry?
Every other week, I heard you mention that there'd be, all the kids would be in the school for their shop weeks?
So basically, I'll say it again.
Yeah, 50%, go ahead.
It's somewhat difficult to understand. So initially, coming back on February 22nd, I'll start with grade 9. Grade 9 students would come back to school 1 day each week, which is equivalent to 25% each day, just as they did prior to March 19th. What we're trying to do additionally for grade 9 students is on Wednesdays, bring them in at 50%, which would be 50% every other Wednesday, to make up the exploratories that they missed when they were, to give them a hands-on experience. So they didn't miss it, but to provide them with a hands-on experience for the exploratories that they missed when we were remote.
I have a question on that.
Sure,
Why 50% and not 100%?
because
Because there's nobody in the building on the Wednesday based on this new plan.
So there are some space limitations in certain shops. That was the primary motivating factor. So in some shops, certainly you could fit 100% of the freshman exploratory. In other ones, you cannot.
Can we improvise that somehow?
Well, all of this is a proposal, and I think we're going to continue
Yeah.
discussions.
we're developing this we're presenting this tonight, and we're working on these discussions. But it looks like from what we've been working on, that 50% is the safest way to do this.
I understand.
And the equitable way to do it.
Sure, and each student is in each exploratory for 2 weeks, is that correct?
That is not correct.
What is correct?
So currently, you're asking me what the prior exploratory experience is? So right now, they have a 10-day exploratory experience. Am I correct, Mike? Or is it
Yes, it's correct.
10-day
10
exploratory
days.
experience, with 2 out of those 10 days being hands-on, correct? Then we went to a full remote, right? So we're coming back, and we're trying to, they're still gonna continue to have those 2 days hands-on with exploratory, moving forward for their new exploratories. What we're trying to do with the Wednesdays is to give them an equal hands-on approach for those that they didn't get a hands-on approach for, bring them in to give them a hands-on approach for those. So moving forward, exploratories, let's say 7 through till they complete all their exploratories, will continue to be 2 days in-person hands-on, right? Because that's all we can provide them at this time. And they're going to make up the time that they missed on that Wednesday for exploratories 3 through, is it 7 or 9, depending on how.
Correct.
How about the shops that can take 100%? Can we offer all those students
that's-
the availability to come in on
That's
those
not
Wednesdays?
equitable then. Then what about the students that,
Well, they can't fit, they really just have to tell them.
So
well, that's, we're trying to create some equity with the 50%.
Right, I understand that.
there is something also to consider. The other thing to consider is if you're bringing them in at 50%, you're giving them much greater attention to the instructor. And I think that's important because this is their first time in person together. So if you have a smaller ratio, they get more attention, they get more of a different experience that I think that they deserve, considering that they've done this virtually. Even at 50%, they're still going to get the experience. It'll just be the next week.
It will help them make a more informed choice, and that's the whole idea of doing this, is to help them make a more informed choice.
The difference.
I don't think
Sorry.
Mr. Bartle may not understand. Some of the exploratories would be 25 kids.
Correct. Yeah, I was.
You know
Thank
what
you for
I
that.
mean? So it's kind of hard sometimes to.
Yeah, I was just going to add, we're talking about the difference between 25 kids at 100% and 13 kids at 50%. So, if you have 13 kids on a Wednesday, you have greater connection with your fellow students and greater connection with the teacher. So just something to consider in the decision making to make it the best possible experience for them.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. I guess you're gonna move on as far
Okay,
as.
so that's grade 9.
Grade 9.
Grade 10 through 12 will initially start off 2 days on their shop week, which would be like a Monday, Tuesday, or a Thursday, Friday. And their academics would be fully remote on their academic week. And then we would move to 4 days on their shop week.
4 days on the shop group academic.
4 days on the shop week only. Academic would remain remote.
Academics remote, 4 days on the shop, we will move to that in time,
We'll move to that within 2 to 4 weeks.
within 2 to 4 weeks. And we'll
If
be,
the health data looks good, we can move in 2 weeks. If it doesn't look good, we'll wait another 2 weeks. But because of our 1 week on, 1 week off, it should either be 2 weeks or 4 weeks when we make the transition.
So,
It-
yeah, so-
and that all begins on February 22nd.
That does,
It
yes
all
it
begins on
does.
February 22nd.
so potentially March 8th or the 15th, we could be 100%.
March 15th.
March 15th.
Okay, I'm just looking down at the
Yeah,
calendar.
that's,
just doing
that,
two
that would be our projected date. If we started on the February 22nd and we went out 2 weeks, it's March 15th where we'd start for 4 weeks.
Okay, so
Yep, they'd have an A and an X and we'd be
Right.
going from 2 to 4.
we potentially could be 100% shop on the 15th.
Yep,
Shop only, technical.
yep, technical, all technical, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, and just with the academic classes that they have, we'd shift the academic teachers into classrooms. We've already moved them, we've already got a preliminary schedule together, so whoever has 10th graders have math, they'll come out of shop, they'll go to math like they normally would anyway.
Yep.
Same thing for phys ed and same thing for health.
Okay,
So it's basically they'd be getting their full technical complement on that schedule.
Good. Now, obviously, on the two days, they're gonna get their full technical complement.
Yep.
And they'll go to the math class that they're supposed to. and-
Correct.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yep.
so February 8th, everybody's gonna report back. Everybody in the buildings, secretaries, admins, cluster chair,
Like,
teachers, everybody.
I'm proposing this as tentative. There's still some negotiation that needs
Okay.
to be
All right, so,
had.
okay. Let's just hope we get everybody in the building on the 8th. Let's move ahead.
So I think we're working there.
Okay.
I think, you know, on behalf of the school community, I think as a school community, we've been working together on this. So I'm hopeful that we can move forward and we can all return on February 8th.
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks for the hard work.
And
You're welcome.
as far as remote learning goes, this is all done via Zoom, is that correct?
No,
Okay, it's all done via Google Classroom?
yes.
Okay. Are students still checking in, or are they actually physically on camera with the teacher during the
So-
class time?
Currently, so they've never been just checking in. They've been engaged and the teacher is, it's called Synchronous Learning. So the teacher has been engaged with the students, yes.
Are the teachers like, are the teachers able to view the students on Google Classroom, or?
So we don't have a mandate that says you have to have your camera on, but the students can view their teacher, and the teachers can sometimes view their student or a screen of their student. But we have not mandated, yeah, sure, Mike.
Just to add to that, we put in the first reopening plan, or the reopening plan, that if a teacher requests a student to turn on the camera, they're to do so. So, but in certain circumstances, you know, each teacher has their own, you know, way of dealing and way of relationship with students. So it does say that in the policy. So we're encouraging them to turn on their cameras, but if
There are
there's some sort of issue, we'll deal with it on a
extenuating
case-by-case basis.
Can we obligate the students to turn on the cameras just so the teachers
There are
feel like they're
extenuating
engaging?
circumstances.
Say it again?
There are extenuating circumstances that could lead to reasons why.
Some,
Yes, some.
not all, I'm just
Not
curious if we
all.
could
So
require. And
so
if
I-
the parent would like to go ahead and contact the school and say, hey, there are an issue here, that's why we don't want our student on camera,
Well,
then that we can follow that guideline.
See, the other thing is you can have a virtual background too, so that there's nothing being exposed within the home or anything other than the individual himself, the student. So is there any benefit to having the student actively participate? Because now they have to be a little bit more involved. And the virtual background hides all of the stuff that everyone's embarrassed about or whatever. Has anybody looked into that? or
So
no?
I think there's a lot of sensitivity
Yeah.
around that, but it's something that we can look into and consider, but there is sensitivity around that.
All right, and then the other question I have, what is the current state of the health data? Because I didn't check on
Well,
it before.
it was delayed tonight, so as of 5:30, they did not have the data posted for this week.
Okay,
I'm hopeful that it is beginning to go down, but last week it was at 88.88
okay.
with a positivity rate of 10 point, I'm not sure if it was 40 or 10, over 10.
But it is coming down, it's trending downward.
It just came
Well,
out.
last week it was up. I'm not sure what it is this week. As I said, I checked at 5:30, at 6, it wasn't posted yet.
It just came out.
Okay,
It went down from 10.4 to 10.1. And it also went down to, I think, 82, but I mean,
so it dropped from 88 to 82, so there, it's a small decrease, but a decrease.
It's going in the right
Yeah,
direction.
it's going in the right direction, so I think that's the plan that we're presenting based on the current health data, based on the fact that we're hopeful that vaccinations could be, coming our way soon in phase 2. I think that, which is anywhere between February and March, which is, we're getting closer to that. With all that said, I think the plan that we're presenting is in the best interest and doable for students and staff.
I think this is absolutely great. I mean, it shows that there's light at the end of the tunnel, finally. As long as everything stays the same. My hat's off to you and Mike, the entire, staff. For, this hasn't been easy on anybody. You, the entire school staff, especially our students. And just having the conversation that we could be at 100% hands-on, come March, is absolutely amazing. So, thank you very much.
Yeah,
The end of March.
is there any feedback or things that can be discussed regarding the February 8th as a real date, a real possibility? Is anybody pushing back on that, or, and if so, is there any way that we can help, or?
Well, I think, I think by tonight, by showing your support for this plan, I think that's why we're here, that's what we're looking for, and I think we can move forward as a school community to make this happen. That is my goal, to do that.
Thank you.
Personally, I think this is a great plan, best plan that, I could expect. I'm very happy with the whole idea of 50%, students coming in, 50% of the time, starting less than a month from now. And then as much as 2 months from now, to have them here.
On their
for
shop.
their hands-on experience the whole time. So kudos to the whole reopening task force. I know it's a lot of work. I don't envy you guys. I know that it's tireless, and I just want to thank you. However, I still want to ask, can we somehow have the students on remote weeks turn their cameras on when the teachers are engaging the classroom experience?
So, the answer is yes. So just in any situation since we've closed, in any situation, and I put out many communications about this, in the instance that there's some reason why a student won't turn on their camera, the teachers have been asked to communicate to both the main office and the school counselor to bring that up as an issue. And there have been issues where we've successfully spoken to parents or spoken to students and they've turned on their cameras. So I can certainly send out another communication encouraging that if there is an issue or issues, for us to work collaboratively with those parties so that we can make sure that occurs.
Do parents communicate back to you when you do send out those emails?
It does vary. It does vary. I'll be frank with you, there are some resistance to turning on cameras. And then oftentimes there's, great compliance. And sometimes, we don't always get a response from parents back, unfortunately, at times. So,
Sure, I'm sure that's common. You don't get
unfortunately,
response.
sometimes it happens.
Right? Okay.
But I'll send out another communication and encourage people to reach out to both myself and the main office, and we can work to try to do that in the best possible way to build relationships.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful.
And then as the superintendent describes, there are extenuating circumstances where there are reasons that, we determine that it's not in the best interest to push the issue.
An extenuating circumstance?
Yeah, there have been
I can
instances
understand.
where, the decision has come to me of, should we do this or why, or how far do you want to push? And it's been my decision in certain cases, or in consultation with the main office and the school counseling department, that, it's, if the student's performing well and they're doing well, then, we can certainly maybe not demand that the camera be on at the time. But most of the time, people
I think the system that Mr.
comply.
Martin has set up is a system that is working. And we should continue to follow in regards to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Curtis.
Despite can you hear me?
Yes.
Despite some of the exploratory issues and the numbers that we can't control, it sounds like a win-win situation between the students and the staff. I don't know if there's been any contact with parents or if they've had any issues or concerns, but it looks good to me. Of course, we'd all like better numbers, but I think this is a different thing that is a good deal for the students and the staff.
So we did send out a survey. We did send out a survey, Mr. LeMay, yesterday to parents, just a general survey, just trying to get someone an idea, saying that if we were to return to a hybrid learning mode on February 22nd, would you send your child back to school? And Mike, if you want to just update them on that?
Just prior to the meeting, there were close to 700 respondents, and between 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, 9th being the 9th and 10th are tied for the most respondents. It's 75% say they'll send them back, and 25% say they would not send their child back. That's pretty much where we're at, which is incidentally virtually the same statistic that we had when we asked in August. Relatively the same.
So I'm sure that's very fair. And that must be pretty equal to a statewide type of poll.
That I
We
don't know.
can't speak for that, but
Right.
Just to digress for just a moment.
Thank you.
Is
Thank you, Ms.
vaccination,
Davis. Thank you, Mr. Bott.
Thank you.
is
Very
vaccinations
good.
going to be compulsory for each and every student or staff? Or how are we kind of regulating?
so it is
there
not
CDC? Okay.
There's no regulation for students or staff in regards to vaccinations. As you are aware, I'll use the flu shot for an example of a vaccination. Prior to 2 weeks ago, it was mandated. 2 weeks ago, that mandate was now lifted. So there is no mandate currently required for I want to guess public employees to require a vaccination.
How about for on upcoming years, can we mandate if you want to be a student at Greater Lowell Tech, this vaccination is required?
I would have to ask legal counsel in regards to that, but I think being a public entity, I'm not sure if we would be able to do that. I know the private sector has more control over regulating their employers and their populations, but I'm not sure as a public entity how much control we have over mandating anybody from getting that.
I'd be shocked if our legal team came back and said that that was something that we could say to people. mean, you got like, religious beliefs and personal beliefs and, you know, big government, medication, things like that. I mean, it's a good idea, but I don't think we could ever do something like that.
Has anybody done any study or survey on the number of people that will voluntarily undertake the vaccination? Because if you're looking towards a herd immunity or something along those lines within the confined walls of the school, what number are we looking at, if anything?
No, we have not done that. I think our focus was just trying to get students back here learning. Good.
Any further questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Great work. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks to the entire reopening task force, 'cause they did a great
Well,
job.
I'm glad they're working with you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, the report of the business manager.
Thank you, Mr. Board.
Thank you.
All right, so tonight I've given you a lengthy list of transfers here in the package, most of which are, I'll say they kind of fall into a couple of different categories. There's the negotiated salary increases that were all signed after the budget year took place that now need to be funded. So we've gone through, made sure all the proper raises were given as they were negotiated by each individual unit, and then applied those raises throughout. And then the second piece of this was looking at the minutes from our advisories that came out from the fall, as well as teacher requests for remote learning and other items that came up in the fall, and I guess through the winter at this point. And looking to get those items addressed as soon as possible, particularly where we had some downtime, or not downtime, but empty building time. Some of the equipment was able to be ordered ahead. There were some items that we were able to do because of some savings that occurred in health insurance as a result of being remote and not necessarily getting the level of full-time substitutes that we anticipated needing and having with the partial remote year. So there were a number of different items throughout, such as online curriculum texts, and then some equipment and other softwares here and there that we've purchased as a result of trying to provide a robust learning environment through the year that we've had.
Motion to approve the transfer.
Fred, just get this one.
Yeah, sure.
Am I reading this right? Everything came out of the health insurance, $282,000 transferred out of?
Yep, pretty much. So when we had done the reopening plan initially, we planned on having a significant amount of long-term subs that would be full-time in the building all day, every day. When we actually tried to put that into practice, the availability of people willing to take a job like that and didn't necessarily meet our expectation. But in preparation of that, I had to budget health insurance, assuming that that high number would be there, and then they weren't there, so we had.
All right, so that's all the cost savings from the long-term subs for the healthcare we don't have to provide?
Yeah, for the most part, also health insurance did come in a little bit lower than anticipated. We probably went a little bit high on our estimate. I think I came in at about 6% when I put the estimate into the budget. Elective procedures not occurring for, the end half of last year happened to work out sort of favorably, and we haven't really seen a heavy increase in our claims data related to COVID that would have affect that and probably won't affect that into the next renewal as well. So
Okay, beautiful.
the combination of those couple of things provided a significant savings there.
Okay. Thanks, Mike.
I'll
Any further
second.
questions?
No, I'll second his motion.
Okay, first I need to approve the budget transfer in the amount of $281,909.86.
Motion to approve.
Okay,
Second.
roll call.
Mr. Sheehan?
Yes.
Mr. Bahu?
Yes.
Mr. O'Hare?
Yes.
Mr. Tatsias?
Yes.
Mr. Gigi?
Yes.
Mr. Getchir?
Yes.
Mr. Lemay?
Mr. Lemay, yeah,
Mr. Moran?
yes.
All right. and
Thank you.
The second item on my agenda is just update on the budget for the FY 2022 year. Despite the FY21 budget just recently being passed by the state government, we're actually still on track to have the FY 2022 budget estimate at the end of this month, I believe the 27th. So with that said, we would, in keeping with our normal timeline for budget approval, we'd probably look to have the Budget and Finance Committee scheduled for either prior to our meeting on the 11th or another date in February for the first look at the budget. So I just wanted to get that out there so that it was on the chairman's map to try to pull everyone together and make sure we get that meeting scheduled.
Right, and I had spoke to the superintendent about maybe doing this before the next school committee meeting. I'm not sure if everybody's available. I know Mr. Gigi indicated he may not be able to make it. Our school committee meeting is February 11th, is that correct?
Yep.
And we're looking to have that budget meeting at 4:30 p.m. So that would give us a couple of hours before the school committee meeting to discuss what will be coming up in the FY22 budget. Does that date seem to work for most people here?
That's for the finance
The
subcommittee.
finance subcommittee,
Yes.
I'll make that work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll make it work.
No, I'll get it.
Matt Lee,
Yep.
myself.
You say 4:30,
Kempton.
right? Yeah.
Kempton's on that, and then whoever else wants to show up,
Yep.
right? Including yourself, Mr. Chairman.
I'll make it
Yeah, I
work.
already marked it on my calendar, so that, that was the time, so.
Okay, Kempton,
I'll do my best. It might be remote by phone or.
okay, and would it be helpful, I mean, we could move it out to 5 o'clock, but I just don't know on the preliminary meeting if, there would be a lot of questions and such.
Earlier is better for me. It's just I have family coming in. That's the weekend of the fishing derby, and
Oh, the fishing derby,
yeah, that's right.
of course. Would that be happening out here in the Merrimack River?
If the lake freezes, we'll be busy.
They're gonna fill it with carp.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, remote could work. Remote could work very well. We could just piggyback right into the school committee meeting.
Yep.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Old business, outstanding items, new business, and I would say that Committeeman Chair Sheehan has requested a general discussion regarding Mcas and the MIAA.
Okay, so I guess starting with MCAS, I'm gonna ask Mr. Barton, our Assistant Superintendent and Principal, to come up and sort of brief you on where we are with MCAS.
So, developments with the Democast test. I'll just start with the 12th grade and move our way down. So, there was a 12th grade retest scheduled recently that has been canceled, rather the word the Department of Ed uses postponed. And what they basically said was all 12th graders who needed to take the test to get a diploma would not have to take the test if they didn't want to. They could get a certificate of determination or competency determination if they got a passing score in a subject. So in other words, if you're a 12th grader, you hadn't passed the test yet, if you passed an English course or a specific math course, they would grant the diploma. So thankfully, all 11 students that were at our school that were slated to take the test all received passing grades in the course. So I submitted that to the Department of Ed for the process that they'll do so they can get a diploma. So that's where we stand with the 12th graders that needed to take the retest. As far as the biology test goes for 10th, 11th, and 12th graders, so that test has again been waived in order to make sure that if they have passing grades, they'll be able to get a competency determination for that. So it's really the same situation. For the grade 10 kids and grade 11 kids who haven't taken the math or English test yet, the test is still scheduled for May. So at this time, we are operating under the presumption that the test will go forward in May for math and English for 10th graders and 11th graders. Now, as we know, that could change, but we'll just have to wait for the Commissioner of Education, the Department of Ed, to let us know what what the position will be for that. So I think that really covers it all in terms of kind of where we are. Some good news and some news I think we'll have to wait for, basically.
Will the text testing expectations sort of have a
Good question.
a marginalized type of
Yeah.
scoring?
So the information that the Commissioner of Education has brought forward to us, and as it's my understanding that he's going to be bringing it forward to the Board of Education, is that he will look to not implement any changes in accountability ratings for school districts. The language that he's used is to hopefully look at this test, the Mcas test, as a diagnostic tool, not so much a diagnostic tool. I'm interpreting that as perhaps not a competency determination tool, but again, we'll have to wait and see.
Or not an accountability tool.
Correct. Yeah.
Accountability towards the school.
Correct.
Basically, students take a test, they get the needs improvement, the proficient,
Right. And,
the
correct. Yeah.
excel.
And we use that to look at where gaps are
And to drive our instruction.
to drive our instruction. That's what they mean by diagnostic, not accountability.
Okay.
But I think we're gonna have to wait and see.
We're gonna have to wait for more information. There was a meeting scheduled this week, but that was canceled,
Right.
and we're slotted to have another meeting with the commissioner, I think at the end of next week, so.
And what's the prep time for MCAS? Is it usually 2 months?
It's
Prep
to
time.
prep, for us to prep, or for
No,
just,
for the state to prep, sort of set you up, knowing the test coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Generally February.
good question. So, typically, I would say it's 2 to 3 months for us to make sure that we have all of the data uploaded for them to organize the test via computer.
So basically, we're to hear something from the state realistically by February if they want to have a May.
The way that it was described to me when I spoke to them was, and I'll quote them, for all we know, he could announce the night before that it's canceled. And their mission for me was to go through my whole process to prep everything.
So,
That's literally the, and basically, they're saying, I don't, I
It's
just,
just the way it is.
yeah, right. In other words, I'm gonna do everything I need to do to get everything organized.
Be
And then it
prepared, we
could
can
be
cancel.
Yes.
Exactly.
At midnight.
just that
Exactly.
comment from him right there, like, and that mindset. That's why I just want to talk about this. Has districts gotten together and talked about just telling them, like, we don't want to do this? Like, these kids and the staff have been put through holy hell.
So it's a federal thing that,
I get that, but at some point, somebody has to stop pushing back here. And that's why I want to talk about this. Like, having months to prepare, like I said, like the thing with the backgrounds, whatever, they might be, like I said, these students and the staff they've just gone through horrible times. I'd really like Greater Lowell Tech to be like, listen, we're not interested. Get some other school districts on board and be like, we shouldn't be doing this. Like I said before, there's light at the end of the tunnel. We're gonna get some kids in here for hands-on learning come March, and then we still need 2 to 3 months for prep to have these kids take MCAS. So they take it MCAS at home. Who's to say they're not looking at a book or anything like that? And it has nothing to do with us, nothing to do with the staff. Everybody's gonna do a great job. But I just think that we're just defeating these kids again, like having to do MCAS. And the state waving, like, okay, as long as you passed a traditional class, you're all set. I just think it's crazy. I think it's crazy to put the staff and the kids through this. And like I said, I didn't know if, quietly other districts might be, talking to each other saying, how do we push back against the state? I understand it's a federal thing, but at one point do we speak up as a school district and say, enough is enough? Like I said, the kids have been put through hell, not being into the building, not getting hands-on learning, and now we're gonna have to teach MCAS? It's crazy to me. It's absolutely crazy.
I agree.
I, as a vocational school and our mission's vocational training, the MCAS has always been a kind of a thorn. But academically, I think the state and the feds and all of that want to see how much of a regression we probably did suffer because of our student learning suffered as a result of remote learning and the COVID. And so they have to gauge where we're at to kind of bring them back. And I think that's why they're probably saying it's diagnostic. They're trying to figure out where we have to enhance the education going forward. Because they're down to the 9th, 10th grade they're trying to
Yeah, I would agree.
give it back in the later years and find a way to redevelop and that's the only reason I can see, and it's a thorn in everybody's side in this one.
It is.
I
truly
completely,
is.
I completely understand that they might want to gauge something. All right, let's gauge it 3 years down the road. Like right
late
now,
then.
well, right now, the situation that our staff and our not so much the staff, the situation that our students are in. Again, like you said, we're in a technical high school, and these kids haven't been in the building. There's no hands-on learning. I feel bad for these students, and to have to throw MCAS on top of that. I'd love to see school districts just come together and be like, listen, to the chairman of education and the education board and to the governor, we don't want to do this. Like come up with, and I hate to see you, the staff, go through for 3 months and then, like you said, the day before, like we're not doing it. Like that, just all that work for nothing. When we could have been, like, we get these kids in here in March and we just move forward.
I have a question, and it's been a long time since I've been in school. What kind of prep work goes to the student like the week before? Are the teachers reviewing certain topic areas, certain things that will most likely be on the test? So they're really focused on the academic side at that point?
Well, I think throughout the year, we prepare them
Like everything's
for,
standards-based.
not just the MCAS test, but for everything. But throughout the year, we do that. But in some instances, for certain students that are more likely may not to get a score that we want, there is extra preparation that occurs.
If they were to conduct MCAS tests, do we believe that would be physically in the building, is my guess? Or would it be in their living room?
Would be in the,
Yeah, or I don't want to interrupt you, Jill.
no, go ahead.
My thought probably would be that it would be physically in the building. That's what I would anticipate. I mean, I think I did hear some language about, well, maybe at home. I think we might have heard that on one of the calls, but I think in all seriousness, I think given, if it were a high-stakes test and given the security around it in years past, I would think that they would have to do it
Well,
from.
when we were planning for the initial seniors to retake, that we were bringing them into the building
Correct,
to do
yeah,
that.
we had everything, here's a good example, we had everything scheduled, everything was ready to go, and then it was pulled.
So I agree with Committeeman Sheehan. If it's diagnostic only, and we're not gonna be assessed on it, and it's just a feel-good test where there's no stress on these kids and no stress on the teachers, I'm all right with that. I mean, and here's where I'll probably get in trouble, it kinda makes me laugh that these kids are gonna have to be in the school to take this test, and DESE isn't even in their offices. So it kinda makes me laugh. They don't get to report to work, but our kids have to be in school to take this, lack of a better word, feel-good test, where they're gonna be graded or looked at to see where they should be. When they're learning remote, I mean, these kids have been in school 6 weeks. And, what the hybrid plan we rolled out first. I think we did a great job. I think we're still doing a great job, but it's kind of hypocritical of DESE to tell us that we have to take this test in school and they can't go to work. So, I guess that's my 2 cents. I'll probably catch heat for that, but don't tell me that the kids have to be here when you can't go to work. I just have a problem with that. And if it's diagnostic only, as long as we just do our best. I mean, I know I gave you grief on the MCAS numbers when I first came 14 months ago. These numbers that come out right now, I still think the teachers did the best they could. They worked hard. These students are working hard, and let's have fun with the test.
I think what they are saying, that the numbers aren't gonna be used for accountability, so I don't think we're gonna see numbers out there. I think if anything, and we'll find more out, they're going to be using it for diagnostic purposes.
I guess I'm okay with that, and as long as we have fun with the test, with the teachers and the students, and
Well,
we're not
I'm
putting
not
added
sure,
pressure
we
on them, I
haven't
guess.
heard if
There's
the
no
test
fun.
is gonna have
Well,
value
Freddie,
for
there should be
the
with this test, because it's a joke.
competency-based
There's no,
Right.
It's a
the state
complete
wants
joke.
to see how
Schedule,
remote
we'll see
learning
what
works.
happens.
Right.
That's what they want to do.
So I think that's
And
something.
that's fine with it, Freddie. We have to participate with it, and we'll participate in it, but I don't think we should be putting pressure on the kids or the teachers to
Right, but
perform
we
on a
haven't
diagnostic
heard
test.
yet, we haven't heard yet in regards to whether or not it might not count towards accountability, and we could use it diagnostic wise, but we haven't heard anything towards competency determination.
Right.
And that's the main thing.
And that's,
That's a high school diploma for a student, so that's what we need to
it just,
wait to hear more
just
around.
knowing myself, Lee, you gotta have a little bit of pressure to put the motivation in to take and go through the test. If there's no risk, no foul, you're just gonna go in there and go blank, 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 and then hand it in. So I hear where everyone's coming. I hate the MCAS. It's something that you have to deal with, but I also think you need that overlay of, yeah, we gotta do this, we don't know what's gonna happen, so everyone takes it seriously, and you get a more accurate reflection of where we are. And I agree, we're a voc school, and they put such an emphasis on academics, but academics now carries over into the trades. You gotta know how to get math skills, you gotta have all of that in order to be successful, and, you know, it's at a different level, but you need those skills.
I guess what drives me insane is it seems like it's just a job preservation for Desi and a money grab. It just, that's what it seems like to me right now this year. Again, I'll hop on. You can't go to work, but you want our kids in here taking the test. So no, I mean, it just, well, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm frustrated with it. It just, but I agree with you, the vocational kids in the MCAS. It's we gotta do double the work in half the time.
Right.
With all the time that these kids have lost not coming to school, and I know you've done a great job with what you have.
Well, the
But
teachers have done a great job with adjusting their mode of instruction to remote to provide the students with the best education they can. Yes, they have.
I mean, to waste any time on an MCAS test that these kids could be in a shop or even in a classroom. They miss so much. It just seems to me a huge waste and a disservice to them. We need, I mean, they've lost so much time.
So I think Desi is somewhat proposing to the government some changes, but it's not in their, the ball is not in their court. It needs to be a federal change for it to happen.
From what I understand, first it's a federal waiver, and then I believe the Mass legislature has to have some, I'm not sure if it's a vote, but certainly some say in it as well. From the language I think that we've heard, I think we can safely say that, again, they're looking for it to be a diagnostic. I'm hearing that it would be more of a tool used to determine where schools are at, and hopefully less of a determinant on whether you get a diploma or not. That's, I think, what I'm hearing, but just to be safe,
Right.
it's on the table for
Yes.
scheduled, and that's.
And we
we're
have to
told
go
we're
with
for it.
that right now because it is on the table,
Yeah.
it's being scheduled.
No, like I said, I appreciate it. I just wanted to,
Tell me, is it the district that dictates
No, it's a state.
this, or is the state dictates?
Yep, the state determines the
Stated.
schedule, and it was actually slated for January and February as well, but it was canceled, and now it's remained on the schedule for May, and it's a state determination.
And I really think
Okay,
it's
so
gonna
the
all
district
determine
has no
if the schools are
leeway
back
or-
learning.
Whatsoever, other than what they dictate to us, correct?
Correct, just as long as we give the test within the window of time that they provided in. So a scenario could be that they say, well, we're not gonna have you do it in May, maybe we'll have you do it in June. I certainly hope that wouldn't happen, but,
So for example, right now
Go
we're
ahead.
doing access
Also
testing.
dictating that we do it in-house versus at home.
That's again,
Correct.
state would have to give us guidelines or regulations on how to implement that. My best guess is it would be in the building. I'd be surprised if it was at home. But again, I think I can safely say I've been surprised, since March 13th about the way certain things have happened.
So school committees are held at random as far as what we can do with it. Is that also correct?
I would say
What
so,
input can we
yes.
give or help? Or do we just have to take the mandate from the state?
Well, I think superintendents have gotten together and had conversations with the commissioner in regards to this, and the commissioner had went forward with possibly trying to get a waiver in regards to, for MCAS, so it's really up to the feds to grant the waiver for us to make any changes.
You said the feds, the governor doesn't grant the waiver, the federal does?
The federal Secretary of Education, and then it goes to the legislatures, and I believe the Board of Education would have to request it. And if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not sure if they have requested one this time around.
Right, and I think we have a new, as we know, we have a new administration, so I'm
So I
sure
think
we might
that
see
was gonna come into play as well.
I think it most likely will. I agree with the superintendent.
Probably will, but it sounds like there's too many hands in the pie already. I don't know. I want to do what's best for the district, but it seems that we're at a loss of where we can go with it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
Yes.
think basically we have to operate as
Yeah.
the test is going to
we
be
have to
given up.
operate as
Listen
if
to what
it's
happens.
going to happen, and it's in the best interest of our students right now that we do that.
I just simply wanted to air my frustration. I just think
No.
there's just no point.
Yeah.
And it's horrible to put everybody through this right now. So.
We often
That's it.
feel frustrated because you put a lot of energy and time
Right.
into the planning of the administration of the test, and then
Yeah.
it's
Right. And,
canceled.
Right, and just, to add that I think we all know is that this is going to have an impact for a generation, because you have all these kids from kindergarten forward that have lost schooling for a year now. And it's, it will be interesting, I think, to us to see
How they move forward.
if they modify the tests as we progress, or of some sort, or maybe less standards to teach or something like that, because it's, districts
It's gonna take time,
are
years.
all over the place.
Yeah.
You have kids that haven't gone to school in person, and they have noted that has had an impact. They've mentioned that in communications. So
Fair enough. No, I appreciate it.
And the bottom line with the state, Mike, is that they want them to move forward, the students, correct? So that's why they're attempting to alleviate this to some degree.
yep,
Correct.
I think they're saying do what you would normally do and be prepared.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, thank
Mr.
you.
Chairman, I got one thing, just to change subject real quick, and I know I didn't throw it on here. I just want to thank everybody for the virtual open house. I watched it for 3 days. I just want to give the media department some credit, the cluster chairs, the teachers, for doing the virtual open house. It was
Yeah.
really well done, Mike. I
And Mr.
give you
Barton,
props.
who
Great job doing
organized
the
it
FC
all.
work. It was really well done. With a couple of technical glitches, but overall, I just want to make sure everybody knows that it was appreciated who participated. It was really good.
Thank you.
It really, really was good. We had over 200 participants a night.
Yep, every evening we had one evening we had well over 200. It always around 200, 225. And they stayed on, which was nice too.
Yeah, no, the media department really, during this pandemic with the remote, they've been doing a really good
Yeah,
job. And I
very
just want to
supportive.
recognize them and let them know, hey,
Very
thank you.
supportive.
Yeah.
Because, they think about this,
I
the
agree with
meeting,
you.
Curtis, think about this, we have the
Yeoman's work there.
Yeah, the meeting, the Google Classroom, all that stuff, they're doing a great job.
Yeah, they are.
So I just want to give them, a little recognition.
I agree. Great work. I was on day one, and I, wanted to come back day two. However, I never did. But day one's work, participation, involvement of staff, students typing in questions, and you trying to get them all answered as quickly as possible, and give them as much information as they could, was something that I never would think could work really well, and it did. So, congratulations.
Great, thank you
On
very
that
much.
one.
Well, there was a lot of help from a lot of people, and we put it together in short time. And we were a little nervous moving up to it, but I think we were thrilled that many people came out. And what I was most happy with is that they stayed on, which was really great. So they saw all the different programs, and we kept their attention, which I think was really important.
We're adapting to the virtual world.
And the great news,
I'll tell you, I was impressed because you were flying. I mean, sometimes I'll have to see your pants with the questions. I felt bad for Mr. DeFranco at HVAC because he wasn't supposed to give the presentation. The other teacher was, and he went off the cuff, and it was a tough situation for him, but it was pretty good. And I mean, I'm just glad everybody participated, and I thank everybody that did, and especially the media department because it came out great.
and the big deal is, like, you had over 600 participants, if
Yeah.
I'm hearing correctly, maybe as much as 700,
Yeah.
and you advertised it, and people paid attention to the advertisement, and they went on. You know,
We're
so-
really good at showing our school pride and what we do well, and, it's nice to see.
So I just want to
Yes,
make sure
thank
they get it. It was great. I just want to make sure everybody that participated got a shout out and a thank you because they deserve it. I mean, there was 3 days of remote questions on the side. Yeah, did we miss some? We probably did. Did we get most of them? I think we got all.
Yeah.
I would safely say that we pushed it to the point where we got as many as we could.
Oh yeah, no, you did a great job, Mike. It was tough because I was trying to follow off to the side of the questions to come back to see the teachers.
Yeah.
It was real good.
Matt,
Yeah.
one question to you. You talked about the MCAS, MIAA. Did you want to discuss that at all, or?
Did we not play any sports this year?
No, we played all the sports we set out to do, so, yes, we played every sport we played that we paid for. So the MIAA, it's a by team fee, and so far we've played every sport.
I just want to
that we
make,
paid
the
for.
only point to the general discussion was I just didn't want to, I want to make sure that we're not losing any money, that's all. Because I know we pay a fee per sport, and if anything was canceled, I would hope we would get some kind of credit going into next year. But all the sports are played, I'm good.
Okay, and with that being the case, we're, I'm sure, thinking about what sports are going to be playing in the spring, if not all of them. Did we already come up with that conclusion?
Have we
yet?
thought about that yet?
Yeah, I'm sure that's coming up maybe the next.
I mean,
think
right
we're gonna
now,
get
we're
some
waiting to
guidance on
see
that.
if football's coming, what's happening with football, we're
Oh,
waiting
back
to hear.
football. Interesting.
Well,
Okay.
football is set for its next,
Slated for early spring.
and early spring is coming quicker
So-
than we think.
Yes.
Quicker than we think. We only have a couple more weeks into winter sports. I think they end before February
They
vacation, if I'm
do,
not
yep.
mistaken.
Correct.
So, and then we'll be moving on to spring, and we're waiting to hear. So far, the sports that we usually engage in have run.
All right.
So, there's the question with the MIAA
Great work.
cost and fees.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Matt. Mr. Shea.
Thank you, Mr.
All right,
Bowman.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Committeeman motions, report of the subcommittees, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Sheehan?
Yes.
Mr. Bahu?
Yes.
Mr. O'Hare?
Mr. O'Hare? Mr.
Yep.
Mr.
Yep.
Tatsias?
Yes.
Mr. Gigi?
Yes.
Mr. Getchia?
Yes.
Mr. Lemay?
Yes.
Mr. Moran?
Yes. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good job.
Thank you.